what God says. For example, are you going to say, oh, he spoke to me? Is it going to be what your pastor said? Is it going to be what this prophet said? Is it going to be... I'm a Christian, so it's not like I'm against it. But in a relationship, it can be murky because maybe I'm saying that, oh, God told me this. You are saying God told you something else. But we know that the Spirit of God is one. So now which of us is wrong? Okay. So sometimes it bothers me a little bit. But I think that inherently for me, when I say that I want a man who... is God-fearing or who is a spiritual person. I want somebody who acknowledges that our earthly wisdom comes to an end. And there comes a point when you have to seek for wisdom or for guidance from God. And who has built up the capacity to do so, who has a relationship to be able to do so. I focus on my relationship with God. I believe I've built a capacity to be able to hear from him. So in my life, nobody has ever come to tell me that, oh, God said this, and I didn't already know. If you are telling me something new that God said, we'll have a problem. Because I'm like, I talk to God all the time. So if he wants me to know something, he would tell me first. So you're not coming to tell me new information, and then I will accept it.
They're just coming to confirm.
So my fear with the God thing is that sometimes it becomes a thing for abuse. Where one partner is forcing this, God said this, God said this, God said this. And there's almost no evidence to prove that this is what God is saying in the before.
Great.
You know what I mean? So it's Ibab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, ladies, what would you not take?
Thank you very much for joining us on Home Affairs. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. Always a pleasure to be serving you.
And we all have agreed that there's no ideal person, so there's no 100% human being on this earth. Only God is perfect. And you have things you're looking out for. To what extent would you make an excuse for the things that are not? Granted, the things you're looking for, beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. Now, this morning on Home Affairs, we have a very interesting conversation coming your way. Have I had this conversation on Home Affairs before? Not like this, where I have all ladies on the show, and we're going to be having a very important conversation from different perspectives. Now, last week, if you followed us, we had a conversation with the men. Same conversation. We asked them if they happened to be in a relationship with, say, 2 or 3 women, and they are planning to be married, who would they choose and what was going to inform their choice? They made their submissions and the women heard. Today, we're flipping the conversation. The women are on the show and we're going to have the same conversation and find out if, if we had the opportunity to make the choice. But really, it's women who marry men. They come and propose, but we say yes or we can say no. And if we say we're not marrying you, then you don't have a wife. But then, so if we have to make that decision, what will go into making that choice? If women were to choose from, suitors, what really will go into that decision? Right after this break. And thank you very much for joining us on Home Affairs. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. Always a pleasure to be serving you our family lessons right here on Home Affairs. Home Affairs is brought to us by Dano Milk. Choose tasty milk, choose nourishment. Choose Dano Milk. Dano Milk, go for it. Vitamilk, indeed, a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. Now, this morning on Home Affairs, we have a very interesting conversation coming your way. Have I had this conversation on Home Affairs before? Not like this, where I have all ladies on the show, and we're going to be having a very important conversation from different perspectives. Now, last week, if you followed us, we had a conversation with the men. Same conversation. We asked them if they happened to be in a relationship with, say, 2 or 3 women, and they are planning to be married. Who would they choose, and what was going to inform their choice? They made their submissions, and the women heard. Today, we're flipping the conversation. The women are on the show, and we're going to have the same conversation and find out if, if we had the opportunity to make the choice. But really, it's women who marry men. They come and propose, but we say yes or we can say no. And if we say we're not marrying you, then you don't have a wife. But then, so if we have to make that decision, what will go into making that choice? If women were to choose from, suitors, what really will go into that decision? Right after this break.
And thank you very much for joining us on Home Affairs. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. Always a pleasure to be serving you our family lessons right here on Home Affairs. Home Affairs is brought to us by Dano Milk. Choose tasty milk, choose nourishment. Choose Dano Milk. Dano Milk, go for it. Vitamilk, indeed, a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. Now, this morning on Home Affairs, we have a very interesting conversation coming your way. Have I had this conversation on Home Affairs before? Not like this, where I have all ladies on the show, and we're going to be having a very important conversation from different perspectives. Now, last week, if you followed us, we had a conversation with the men. Same conversation. We asked them if they happened to be in a relationship with, say, 2 or 3 women, and they are planning to be married. Who would they choose, and what was going to inform their choice? They made their submissions, and the women heard. Today, we're flipping the conversation. The women are on the show, and we're going to have the same conversation and find out if, if we had the opportunity to make the choice. But really, it's women who marry men. They come and propose, but we say yes, or we can say no. And if we say we're not marrying you, then you don't have a wife. But then, so if we have to make that decision, what will go into making that choice? If women were to choose from, suitors, what really will go into that decision? Right after this break. And thank you very much for joining us on Home Affairs. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. Always a pleasure to be serving you our family lessons.
Thank you very much for being our guest and for staying. Home Affairs, and this is Joy 99.7 FM. Also, we are on Joy Prime Television. Okay, now, let me introduce my guest to you. Enimwa Enim Ado. Hi, Enimwa.
Hi, Edem.
Happy to have you here. Oh,
it's so weird to be on the other side. Do you remember the last time? I think this is actually maybe one of the first times in like 4 or 5 years that I'm on
the other side. Okay. Yeah. And I get to bully you a little bit, you know that. Yeah. Enimwa is host of Strong and Sassy here on Joy FM. And in a little bit, I'll tell you, her perspectives on the show. And then I have Ayram Nuhoho. Hi, Ayram.
Hi, Edem.
How are you?
I'm good, yes.
Like, I like the color, so please, they're nice.
I know.
So anyone is wearing orange. Ayram is in pink, nice and yellow, and I am in red. Wow, just
very interesting.
Very feminine colors, I tell you what. Nah, how are you?
I'm good.
Are we good with Nah? You want to add something to it?
Oh, no, nice.
Okay, great. And Nah is also here. Now, they know, so I'm going to properly introduce them again, apart from just their names. Now, Enimwa is on the show to share her perspectives. Enimwa has been, she doesn't mind me saying it. Enimwa has been married twice and, divorced twice. And conversations between she and I, Enimwa is romantic. And she definitely hasn't given up on falling in love. No, she hasn't given up on falling in love and, being fully owned. So if she has to make that decision for the 3rd time, what really is going to inform her choice? And of course, she's going to be speaking for herself and generally as well. And then Ayram.
Hi,
Ayram hasn't been married before. She's still searching. And so she will have very interesting perspectives as well. Single, beautiful, searching. What are you looking for? We're going to be finding out. And then Nah, like me, is married, but still has very strong opinions. And if she was to make that decision now, Nah, please, you and I are supposed to have this conversation in such a way that by the time we're getting home, our bags are not at the door.
At the door, exactly. Exactly.
Our bags will not be at the door. So that really is going to be our conversation. And trust me, it's going to be a very interesting one. Apart from being interesting, it is also to educate. There are lots of young women who go into marriage, sometimes even adults, very grown women who go into marriage. I'm just looking at one side of things and not considering the full picture. So if you were to look at the full picture, what would it be? And most importantly, if you go into it and I mean, and we know that change is very constant. And the person you thought should be the person ends up not being exactly what you thought they were, then what do you do? So that's going to be the basis of our conversation. And once again, let me say thank you to Dano Milk and Vita Milk. They're sponsors of Home Affairs. So I start with you, Enimwa, who's been on the other side, like over 5 years now?
Yeah.
So tell me, there's no ideal man, is there?
No, I don't think that there's an ideal man. And I would like to say that even though I've been divorced twice, I'm not an advocate for divorce.
Of course.
So no, I'm saying that because it's funny, because when my friends are having relationship problems and they feel like they want to leave their husband,
Then they come to you.
and they call me.
Oh, how?
And they'll be like, so what is it like? So, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell you to leave. I'm not going to tell you, to give up and all of that. Because, I think marriage is an amazing thing if you're doing it with the right person. And if you yourself are the right person. I think a lot of times, I know this show is about how we choose, but I think the first point is actually where you are and who you are and knowing that. Because that's definitely impacts how you choose. So what was the question again? Now that I've given my introduction.
No, I was just asking that, is there an ideal man for a man, for a woman?
I think that in terms of like general idealness, there isn't. But there's somebody who is a good match for you. And like I said, that depends on how well you know yourself. Right. I think women inherently are about four things that's, kind of. So the first thing is, are you an idealist or a pragmatist? Are you awakened or are you not awakened? Are you over 40 or are you under 40? That's a big thing. And then are you economically empowered or economically unempowered? Because depending on the mix of things that you are, they factor into the kind of man that will be able to match your energy and your vibe and your purpose and all of that.
Great.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I am sure that, wait, before I make that point, let me hear from you, Ayram. Do you think that there is an ideal man out there?
Talking
for
of
you
ideal,
and for every woman?
I don't think there's an ideal man out there because I am also not an ideal woman. Okay. But then I believe that if two decide to make it ideal, it can be ideal.
Okay. So if the two of you come together and you decide that you want to make the relationship of them or the marriage ideal per your beliefs, it would be.
Yeah.
Great. Now,
hi, Edem. Okay. Repeat the question.
so we're simply finding out
If there is an
everybody wants
ideal
to
man.
go into marriage and have a very blissful and successful marriage.
Okay.
And of course, you hear women say that, I am looking for that ideal man. Is there anybody out there like that?
For me, I don't think there is an ideal man. I look at it from the perspective of why marriage? Why should I marry? And answering that question for myself, I would probably say that this would work for me because of the reason why I am marrying. It doesn't mean that that person is the ideal person. It just works for me.
Okay.
So for me, there is not an ideal person, but there are workable options.
There may be somebody that fits your ideal.
Yes, there are workable options.
Workable options. It's the workable options
Okay.
for me. Yeah.
So we have all established that there probably isn't a man like a fruit you go and pluck and say, this is my ideal man and you're mine. You will have to, Nimwa talked about the fact that you will have to know yourself and know what you want, and that probably would inform who you will choose. You said you two can come together and make it ideal. And then I think Na's views are aligned with yours as well, that what do I want, who am I? And then by the time you're finding out all of those, then yes, you may be able to choose somebody. Now, when it comes to men choosing women, one of the first things, in as much as after a while, that may not be amongst the, will not be top on the list, will be looks. Does that matter to women as well, how a man looks like? I am.
It's actually the third on my list.
Looks will be the
Yes,
third.
the third on my list.
Okay.
So I am very much concerned about what the man looks like because I'm also thinking about what our children will look like.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, looks please. Yeah. Very, very important.
Anyone, what's cracking you
No,
up?
it's just funny the way she said it, but yeah.
So it's number 3.
Number 3.
Okay. I was going to go around, but tell me what's on number 1, number 2?
Oh, okay. So for me, the number 1 should be I'm looking out for a man who will be financially stronger than I am.
Okay. How
Okay.
so?
Okay, so I am a Christian, and then I believe that the institution of marriage is owned by God. And God, in his own wisdom, says that he is creating a helper for the man. He also said that the man is the head of the home. So if God, who is the owner of marriage, says that the man is the head and the woman should be a helper, I think it's only right if we actually want that institution to work, to also make sure that the man is the head and the woman is the helper. In a situation where the man wants to be the head, whilst I am the one providing, I don't think it will work that way. More especially because, you see, we are different people. Me, personally, through no fault of mine, I think I carry a very domineering personality. So, me being in the same house with you, where I'm the one providing, and then, again, you want to be the head, I feel, even if I'm not doing anything, you might not feel secure because you might think that I'm not giving you room to be the head. Meanwhile, I'm not doing anything like that. So it's only ideal. Well, you want to marry me. I'm not saying you should be the richest man in the world. All I'm saying is you should be financially stronger than I am. I mean, that's just a standard.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. And number 2?
Number 2, I would consider education. Again, because I think everyone needs to be educated because no matter your perspectives to life, once you get education, a certain level of education, we can think at the same level. You see, we say we roll in circles. You need to think in a certain way for us to reason together. So you should be educated to a certain level for us to actually be able to reason together. So that is why I would look at education.
Oh, wow. This list is a very interesting one.
And I completely disagree.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just very interesting. I should tell you why I disagree.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, Aram says that, we're supposed to be like the helpers. And, of course, that's what it says in the Bible. But the root word for the helpmeet is Isa, whatever, Kenegdo or something like that, which actually means that another but better or more like iPhone and iPhone Pro Max. So we have a little bit more. Because I don't think that, on a certain level, somebody who knows less than you might be able to help you in things. But I definitely feel that when it comes to the institution of marriage, a wiser woman actually makes the marriage work as opposed to a wiser husband.
Well, anymore, your point's well noted, but then this will be her ideals.
Oh, no, I know. So I'm giving,
And then she talked about the helpmates in terms of finances.
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let me take it away from her and list and do mine then.
Okay, wait.
So that because mine is
I
almost
didn't let you
very
list yours,
contradictory.
did you?
No.
Okay, then
Mine
do
is
yours.
almost very contradictory. I don't need to be married to somebody who has more money than me.
Okay. Would you rather the reason?
I think, somebody asked me recently that, it would be really nice today. We're having a conversation. It would be really nice today as a rich man. I was like, no, I want to be the rich man. Because I think that there's a certain amount of power and
That
influence
will.
that I can have if I have a lot of money. Preferably, he matches me. In an ideal world, he doesn't match me. So he is earning money. He is powerful. He's all of that. But I need power. You see, and I think we don't like to talk about these things a lot, especially in the African society, whether it's in church, whether it's in whatever it is. A lot of times women are disadvantaged. Let's take it out of the church, just into the Ghanaian setting. Men are cheating with a sense of entitlement that is crazy. You know what I mean? What gives me the edge, what gives me that, whatever you do is fine, is I have my own money. I'm doing my own thing. I have my own power. Doesn't mean that I can't submit. No, because people look at me and they're like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. I've never had submission issues. Once I choose you, I can submit because I've made sure in the first place that you're not an idiot. And if you are, then you will be kicked out, no matter how far down the marriage or the relationship that, we've gone. But it's important to me. I want to have the money. If one of us must have money, it should be me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it means I can choose my children's school. It means I can do the things that I think are better. It means that if you go and make somebody pregnant or whatever, like, it's your own business. I'm not...
And you think that there are men out there who would want to live with a woman like that?
Yeah.
A woman who wants to control the narrative in the marriage?
It's not, you see, that's the thing. I think it's another thing is that the control, it doesn't have to be like in your face control. There's I think it was Cleopatra also who said she stoops to conquer. Mm-hmm. So all of this is with humility. All of this is with submissiveness. But you
have an
that
agenda.
If you mess up, you dey bab, like, nah, it's not going to fly here. And I like the idea of that. I'm never going to throw it in your face that, oh, maybe I have more money than you or whatever it is. But like we know that this is the situation.
And remember that man is not an idiot either. And so, no matter how subtle you're trying to be about it, if the man realizes that subtly you're trying to be in charge, and like, for instance, you talked about you want to be able to choose your children's schools, do whatever it is that you want, and the man knows that I am sitting on edge because for this woman, if I mess up, I'll be thrown out of the window. There's no second chance for me.
No, it's not like that.
That's not it.
It's not like that.
Okay, all right.
It's
so
very
yours,
nice.
number one. Now let's get it. Number one.
I don't even know the number ones and the number twos.
Hey, you have listed hers.
Because I find it
You wanted to list yours. Now you can't.
No, I
list.
wanted to say why I disagree with it.
And then
But
you
I
said
don't
you wanted to
necessarily.
list.
I don't think I have a list per se. Obviously, I want somebody who loves God. That's very important to me.
Okay.
Very, very, very important to me. Loves God and can hear God.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody who is spiritual. So I'm a Christian, but the whole religion thing is a bit of a box for me. So I want somebody who is spiritual, who has wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want somebody who also has common sense. Somebody who can think. Like common sense, like Obanyo Drain, and somebody that you can, hustle with. I'm not big on the education because I've met some really amazing people who don't have formal education but are street smart. And when you're out on the streets and you're hustling and you're making money, you need somebody who is street smart, who can do the pa with you. So those are the things that matter to me more than,
Okay. Now?
Yes, I did. So
what did you look out for?
What did I look out for? In fact...
Yesterday we had a very interesting conversation.
With hindsight, I think when I chose, I was very naive. Mm-hmm. And I keep telling my husband that if you have come to propose to me now,
as I am,
your chances are very slim.
and he would ask me why, because I think I didn't know the journey I was going on. Mm-hmm. So when I was choosing, I only chose looking at my then. So I looked for someone who would accept me as I am, who would encourage me to be me, and who would want me just being me. I looked at someone who I could relate to as a friend, and someone whose values aligned with mine. I think those were the basic things I considered then.
But those are really good.
Yeah.
But going on the journey, I have come to realize...
Now being on the journey.
Yes, being on the journey. I have come to realize that the biggest deal for me would have been one who is very biased towards God. One who has found God, who knows God, and who, when shove comes to push, would always lean towards God's side or God's will. Because the journey of marriage, you cannot predict. You know you are on a journey, but you cannot predict what would happen. So when it comes to crunch and we need to do something, I would prefer one who would choose God's side. Then, coming to the physicals, I would use, I think it is in Corinthians or so, the love is kind, love is this. I would list it and I'll mark you. And the standard should be, at least for every point, you should be hovering somewhere around 90.
Hey.
So how kind are you?
High.
How long suffering are you?
Patient.
How
Patient are you?
Yes.
Patient.
How do you condone evil? How much evil?
How not envious are you?
So I will list them, and you would have to score at least 85%
In
for
all
me.
of them.
Yes. Then, of course,
There's more.
yes. Your values.
This then suggests that you will be scoring 85% yourself.
Yes, I think. Yes, I think so.
She's scoring us. I agree with you.
think so.
She says
Yes.
I think so. She's not very firm about
No, she's
her
just
point.
not sure about where from 85 to 100.
If someone,
where she is.
I'm saying I think so because I have to give room for people to assess. But from my own
Self-assessment.
perspective, I think even if I am not there, I am willing
to work.
to work it out.
So if the person doesn't score 85 and they are willing to work with you, you still would give them a chance.
No,
You
Put them on probation.
You see how unfair that
because
is.
the journey is long. I cannot predict what will happen. And it is like you going on a journey and you are not too sure of the vehicle you are going with. Then you say, oh, because I'm
It
sure
will
you
take us
tighten
there,
the no. It will be too risky for me.
Well, at least if you don't know the journey and you have an idea of what the road looks like, then you know that, okay, you could find some mechanics on the road if there is a challenge. There probably will be a gas station if you have to fill up. You know what I mean?
That is why I said the defining thing for me is the God bias thing.
Great.
So even if you are not loving enough, but I can discern that, I mean, you would want to know what God is saying,
Then you
and
would
you
do the
wouldn't
right
mind doing it, and you would do it. I
Then
think I would
that's it.
consider that. The God bias thing would sort of negate every other thing for me.
For you. Wow. And then number 3?
Our values must align. There must be some, like Aram said, looks. I would think of, my children should look some way. So I'll look at the looks. And it is not everybody that I really want to be close to, intimate with. So at least that thing that when you touch me, I won't cringe.
Should be there.
It should be there.
It's true.
Hey.
It's very important.
Wow.
Yeah, looks are very important to me as well.
But you didn't talk about it.
Yeah, because I was talking about other things. No, but looks, I don't want to say looks are like number one, but you can't be ugly, bro. Like,
You have to be okay.
you mustn't be okay. Like, you have to be nice. I have to look at you
Lord.
and feel my uterus responding to you. I can't be looking at a face that, I want the face, I want the body, I want everything. I want to I say something that pisses everybody off, and I'll say it here. I always say that I don't like fat men. And when I say, everybody's like, you are so annoying, because, like, I am fat. So if I am fat, doesn't mean I have to like fat men. But it's interesting. My sister likes fat. Everybody and their preference. But looks are very, very, very important. The way you slant your eyes, the way you twist, is very important.
To you.
Very, yeah.
Interesting.
We like sexy men.
It's important. Aaron put that on number 3. Okay. So we have established here that there really isn't an ideal man. But if you know what you want and what your values are, then you may be choosing right? Okay. And everybody has talked about the God factor. Everybody says it's important. Are you sure that we don't just throw these things about? Because everybody will tell you, I want a God-fearing man. I think Na has been able to explain to an extent that when there are crises, then we want to go back to what God is saying. And if this man is willing to make a decision in the favor of God, because so for instance, let's use one of the toughest situations where you're probably considering divorce, and the God factor will have you work it through, no matter the challenge, will have you want to forgive, will have you work it through until it gets better. So if he is willing to work it through, then that's for you will be the person choosing the side of God.
Yes.
Not the one who wants to just throw it away because there is a challenge, no matter how difficult.
Or the one who wants, some people would want to do their will, what they like. I am this. This is okay for me. So they will take their decision based on their humanness.
But the person is human.
But God is overall.
Okay.
You see, the problem for me with
So I was
what
gonna ask-
God says.
Yes, this God factor thing.
No, the God
What
factor
is it?
So the God factor is the God, but what God says, apart from the Bible, which is the thing that is black and white, and even if you go into the arguments about parts of, it's all just, it can be very murky. So are you going to, if let's say it's what God says, for example, are you going to say, oh, he spoke to me? Is it going to be what your pastor said? Is it going to be what this prophet said? Is it going to be, I'm a Christian, so it's not like I'm against it, but in a relationship, it can be murky because maybe I'm saying that oh, God told me this. You are saying God told you something else. But we know that the Spirit of God is one. So now which of us is wrong? Okay. So sometimes it bothers me a little bit. But I think that inherently for me, when I say that I want a man who, is God-fearing or who is a spiritual person, I want somebody who acknowledges that our earthly wisdom comes to an end. And there comes a point when you have to seek for wisdom or for guidance from God, and who has built up the capacity to do so, who has a relationship to be able to do so. I focus on my relationship with God. I believe I've built a capacity to be able to hear from him. So in my life, nobody has ever come to tell me that, oh, God said this, and I didn't already know. If you are telling me something new that God said, we'll have a problem. Because I'm like, I talk to God all the time. So if he wants me to know something, he would tell me first. So you're not coming to tell me new information, and then I will accept
Probably
it.
just coming to confirm.
So my fear with the God thing is that sometimes it becomes a thing for abuse, where one partner is forcing this, God said this, God said this, God said this, and there's almost no evidence to prove that this is what God is saying in the before.
Great.
You know what I mean? So it's Ibab.
I bow.
Yeah.
I bow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, ladies, what would you not take from a man? Or, and we all have agreed that there's no ideal person, so there's no 100% human being on this earth. Only God is perfect. And you have things you're looking out for. To what extent would you make an excuse for the things that are not? Granted, the things you're looking out for are present.
Can I go first?
Yes.
So for me, two things. And usually in the first few conversations with a man, you can tell if he feels like he's doing you a favor. So that's number one. Like, that's the point at which I'm done with you. And I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, there are, I have, had encounters with men where, we start to talk. And obviously, I mean, they're enamored. They feel like, oh, you're amazing, da-da-da. But they let it slip somewhere that, but I'm actually doing you a bit of a favor, maybe because you've been married before, you have 2 kids. As soon as that comes in, you're out because I am the favor. Like, you are not due. You have to know from the get-go that regardless of whatever scars I carry, and I would like to address this, I mean, for the women that are watching us who have children especially. Because in our society, we do this born 1, born 2 thing, and it's almost like a thing that decreases value. There's nothing that decreases the value of a woman just because she has had children. Because one of the most difficult things you ever do is raise your children.
And it is
so
only
if you
a woman
meet,
who can have children.
Exactly. So if you meet a woman who is a single mother who is raising her children, and I always talk about my big sister when she's a single mother. She has 3 children. 2 of them are in medical school. 1 of them is autistic and in Legon. Wow. If you meet somebody like that, like it is your mind is not working. If at any point in time you feel like I'm doing, a favor. So for me, that's number one. A man who comes with the I'm doing you a favor kind of. And then I guess linked to it is the man who comes who has these little like ashamed things, like I'm a bit embarrassed
with being with you.
With you for whatever reason. Maybe you've been married for, maybe you have children, maybe you're fat, maybe you are this, maybe you're that, maybe you're not. Because men do that sometimes. They can really like a woman, but because she doesn't fit into the ideal of what he has programmed his mind to be, you find that he's apologizing for you. Yeah, like I'm not apologizing for myself. So why are you apologizing for me? You know, and I think these two things really translate into how a man would treat you, even if he marries you. You know, so yeah.
So once those play out, even if they tick all the other boxes, when those two play out,
No,
you are a goner.
I'm done.
Great.
Yes. Edem, before I go on to this question, I don't know if I can comment on the God factor.
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
So with respect to that, I would agree with what Edem said, because I am more like a church girl, okay? So I get this feeling that there are most guys in church these days who think that once they are in church, once they are wearing a clerical, once they follow a pastor, then it means that they fall into the brackets of a God-fearing man. So that automatically qualifies them to be whatever it is I don't know. I would want to emphasize that when we say we want someone who is God-fearing, we are looking for somebody who has a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And a woman can tell.
There are people who don't go to church, but then they have a relationship with
You're
God.
perfectly right.
And once someone has a relationship with God, there are things the person will not do. Okay, so it's more like that is the basic. Unless whatever you are doing, you are pretending. But if you have a genuine relationship
with God.
you will not mistreat someone's child just because the person is your wife.
Yeah, I agree.
You're right.
Okay, you will not you will not do certain things because you know God is in you. So I just want to lay that is what we want in men, not those who feel they are wearing, yes.
Or clerical. All of a sudden they have become pastors.
Good. And I think even those there who are wearing this clerical, and I think they should actually do things to uphold the clerical and then the pastors that they are following, because I think most of them are even embarrassing us.
Preach. Go there.
Yes, because
for us.
We have gone somewhere.
Go there.
So please, they should live up to what they are wearing. They should live up to their name and then the tag that people give them. So at the end of the day, God will be proud of them. And we will also be proud of them that, oh, this is really somebody who not just follows a pastor or wears a clerical, but then has a relationship with God.
Shall the saints say amen?
Amen. Okay, so talking about what I wouldn't take from in a relationship, I would start by saying what I wouldn't even take from anybody at all is disrespect.
When you say disrespect, what do you mean?
Yes, you see, I don't disrespect people, so I don't expect anyone to disrespect me.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by disrespect? I don't expect you to feel that you are doing me a favor. It's disrespect. I don't want you to undermine me in any way. It's disrespect if you do that. I don't want you to think that I don't belong. It's more like I don't deserve you, or see, I just can't stand it, because I believe I am someone who I look out for myself. I may not be born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I have worked very hard to get to where I am. I appreciate where I am, and I am a very content person.
You celebrate yourself.
I celebrate myself and a very content person. So the moment I see that you come into my space and then I see any sign, not even disrespect from only you, but even from maybe your family or anyone around you, for me, it's a no-no.
Hey, that's one. So that is just it.
Again, you see, I always say that it's the most basic. So once you have this, all other things are things we can manage. Because I wouldn't say, once you respect the person, if you even do something and I tell you that you would agree, we can sit down and resolve it. We are humans. I always give people room to be human. That's what I always say. But if you don't respect the person, then you don't even think the person even has a right to complain in the first place. So you wouldn't even give me the opportunity. But once there is that respect, then we can work it out.
These are hard points. Nah.
Yes.
What won't you take?
I think I go the way of Aram. Disrespect. Disrespect. You have to respect me just as I am. I may not be perfect. I may not be up there. But I think I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I'm perfect for God. So in case maybe you find anything wrong with me or any inadequacies with me, if you talk to me, if you try to work with me and still I am not improving, I would think you should go to the one who made me and complain to the one who made me that this help meet is
not
causing
easy.
trouble. This help meet is not helping. What should I do? And I believe once you go to God and you are in tune with Him, when you come back, you wouldn't just handle it anyway. You won't brush me aside. You won't dismiss me. You won't abuse me.
Your
You
views
won't
don't
make me
matter.
feel bad
Yeah.
for being me. Even if being me is not that good, you would come trying to make me feel be better. So for me, I think that disrespect in all aspects. Don't disrespect me emotionally. Don't disrespect me psychologically. Don't disrespect me financially. What does women bring to the table? Don't disrespect me in any way. As I am, I'm good enough for God. So if I'm not enough, just go and have a communication with Him. Come and have a communication with me. Let us work on me for me to be better. But don't disrespect me.
Now I am beginning to wonder, a 22-year-old woman, a 25-year-old woman, will they be able to think and reason the way you people are doing right now?
I can say no.
When they have to
Because
choose?
I got married at 23. Got married at 23. And the reasons why I got married,
will not be the reasons you will marry today.
no, but okay, I was blessed, and I'm sure you know that my first husband is very precious. So I don't say anything bad about him because he hasn't done anything bad. I'm the troublesome one. So every time I talk about him, I'm very careful to establish that. He is an amazing person, but at 23, what was I looking for? He was tall, he was handsome, he played the keyboard, and I sang. He was kind. I mean, he was nice. But there are certain things that if I had known myself better, I would have seen that as amazing as you are, I'll become a problem. That's how now I judge relationships. When I meet somebody who is like absolutely perfect, I'm so sorry, I should know better. Once I meet somebody who's like absolutely perfect, I look at myself the way I am and I'm like, oh, you are perfect, but I will spoil it. He's very gentle. He's very, he's not enough. You know what I mean? So and at 23, also I think that when we're very young and we're getting married, we're trying to heal our inner child, or we're trying to heal from trauma. So we're looking for what we don't have. One of the reasons why I really wanted to marry him was because I came from a broken home, and he came from a big family, and had parents who have been married now for over 50 years. Wow. So I'm like, I want this. I want to be a part of this. And maybe if I'm a part of this, I'll be able to, so it was the dream and have, but I never once sat down to think.
You had to work for it.
Because we met when I was 18. I'll tell you the truth. I never once sat down to think, why do I want to marry this person? What does this person bring? What do I bring?
Wow.
Are we No, I was just in love. I was excited.
Wow.
And it was nice. And if I was a very calm, person, we would have been married for life because he's amazing. But I know better than to pick somebody like that, because the buga is a lot on the side. So it doesn't, and I look at him and I used to pray that my daughter will marry someone like her father because he is amazing. But I'm like, if my child is like me,
there will be trouble.
Then maybe not, So no, definitely at 23. And then even at, 35 or so, again, that's why I broke it down in the beginning, because then at 35, the kind of man that you pick is different. I feel like a woman really, really comes to a certain level in herself after 40. And I think the kind of man that you pick is probably completely different.
This conversation. So what? Anymore, you won't recommend marriage before 40?
Do you know, honestly, if it wasn't because of like the biology and
all that,
I would prefer that women wait. Yeah. Like I envy Aram, for example, because if I was her age and I was picking, I would have picked for life, because I would have, you know what I mean? I would
your
have
mind
had,
inside open.
yeah, but picking at 23, 22, you must have strong family support, a close relationship with your mother. There's guidance, and then you must marry somebody too who is willing to grow with you. So because women, we become very enlightened. So if he's not, following at the same pace, then it becomes so I think when you marry young, the family support is important. When you marry older, you probably, what you're getting yourself into.
You are in your 30s, I guess. And I know that you probably have had pressure. You're not married, get married. And why you're not married, you're beautiful, you're this and all of those. Knowing what you know now, and also considering the conversation we are having today, do you have regrets that you're still not married?
Edem, I'm going to be as blunt
I want you to be
with you as possible. Not even once have I had any regrets. And the reason is simple. You see, as far as I know I have done nothing wrong, then I know I'm in the will of God. So, yes, the pressure comes, and you have no idea the kind of pressure that comes. But then, and most of those pressures, I must confess, they come from people with genuine concern. Okay, they are not asking you, they have genuine concern. They really care, they really want to know. I really appreciate their concern. But then I tell them that I didn't bring myself into this world. Bible says before I was born, he knew me. When I was a clot of blood in my mother's womb, he knew me. So if in his will, I am still single at this time, and I know it is through no fault of mine, I choose to trust the God that brought me here.
Could it be that
I've had a lot of, in fact, to the extent that even at times my pastor comes to me every day. So one day I was like, Daddy, you've been praying for me, right? He says, yes. You've been laying hands on me, right? He says, yes. I said, okay, don't you trust in the prayer that you've been praying? He said, I trust in the prayer.
Pastor came to ask you that.
No, out of genuine concern.
No, I know, but
once you married,
right now you are blasting the pastor like you don't believe in
I just asked him, don't you believe in your prayers?
Prayer.
Yes. He said, oh, no, I believe in my prayers, but you're not making room. I said, no. Can I block God's prayer? He says, no. I said, then let's allow God to work the process, because I cannot go ahead of God. You see, it's different if, let's say, I had done something wrong and I knew I had done something wrong. But where I sit, I know I have done everything right. Things within my power, I have done. So things like marriage, it doesn't fall within my power. So why should I worry about it? I leave it to the one who instituted it in the first place.
So, you do know that God will not descend from heaven. I'm saying that I'm not coming at you, right? But there are lots of people with this mind that you have.
Right.
God will not descend from heaven and bring a man and bring the man to you in your home and say, Aram, this is your husband. Take this person and marry the person. For you to know that you are in God's will.
Right.
And I think I can almost tell that every day you will have God knows how many people asking you out and asking for your hand in marriage.
That is the more reason why you have to be very careful.
So are you not being too careful or being too picky and saying that God hasn't brought the right person your way?
So I don't think I'm being too careful. I don't think I'm being too picky because...
Or maybe say that, women in your bracket don't own all of it.
No. I think for me, you see, like I keep saying, I think if it is time, I cannot stop it. That is my belief. Let me tell you a story. I think it's in Acts chapter 8. When Paul, then Saul, was persecuting the children of God, as in Christians, that's what he was doing. He actually got a letter from the high priest to go and arrest Christians. On his way to Damascus, what happened? It was there that he got arrested by the Holy Spirit. It means when God says it's time, you cannot stop it. You see, contrary to what you are thinking, that not you, but most people also have that same intuition that, oh, maybe she's been too picky, God will not come down from heaven. But I will also tell you that God doesn't need a helper. If he says it is time, it is time. And I'm also saying that I have not done anything wrong in the sense that I don't think I'm being too picky. Because most of the time, I think...
How would you know if it is time? What are you looking out for?
I'm looking out for something because almost every relationship that I have been in, what actually ends that relationship is not anything that I have done, but has to do with the values or my values as a Christian. I can say maybe 3 out of 4 relationships that I have been in. And you see, I like it when Na was speaking. Na said something. I don't want it to be like I am being, because I'm actually not the Kabwe and Kayayin type. People see me outside and they wonder whether I'm even a Christian at all. So my values are not, I'm not the very holy person. I believe in grace. I believe I'm saved by grace. So if just my Christian values, you cannot live by it, and then I should compromise because I feel I'm becoming old or I can't do
I'm
it, Edem.
interested in the specific Christian values.
Okay.
Enigma, you see, when you are talking, the way she would turn and look, I'm like, Enigma, you want to enter it.
I want to know the specific
so-
Christian values that are causing the problem.
Yes, so I don't know. I honestly don't think it's fair for me to say that.
If you don't want to say, don't mind
Yes.
Enigma. It's okay. You have said enough. Don't mind
So,
Enigma.
and then I still believe, and I'm saying this because there might be people out there like me who I know a lot. Some even go to the extent that when it happens like that, they begin to even lower their standards or their expectation because people are saying they are getting old. But I honestly don't think that there's anything like you are getting old or there's anything like, you mentioned something. You said, is it your value begins to fall or something? Because, but I don't think there's anything like that. See, I still believe that when that man comes, that man who is your husband, when he comes, you will not only know, nothing can stop it, not even you yourself can stop it. So whatever it is, just continue to do. You see, there's things that you can do. Continue to do it. I tell young people that, see, is it school? Go to school. Educate yourself. Don't believe in all this saying that a lady who gets too educated will suffer to get a good husband. It's not true. I tell you, when you go to the market, you see tomatoes over there. Don't you see tomatoes?
You do see tomatoes.
When you go to the supermarkets, ShopRite, you see tomatoes. Don't you see tomatoes? Somebody buys tomatoes from ShopRite, don't they? Someone also buys from Medina Market. So if your value...
Some to ship from Spain.
Yes. So if your value is one that someone should buy you from ShopRite,
Or plants you.
trust me, that person will come. Just do whatever you want to do. Whatever you can do within your power, do it. Those that are not in your power, leave it to the one who has the power to do it and just trust him.
I have a question.
Oh, Enigma,
ask
ask
Hiram
me
a
the
question?
question.
Anyway,
Ask
you are
me
the other side today.
Don't mind her. Ask me the question. What's the question?
I can't ask you.
You ask the question.
So, you see, there's something that bothers me.
Okay.
I'm not being, let me just be free. There's something that bothers me about single women.
Right.
You see, sometimes I hear single women talk about a certain standard. So my question is this. If we say that we are the helpmeet, so if the man comes and he's a little bit below the standard, are we willing, like Abigail in the Bible, who met David when he wasn't a king but could see the king in him and actually, inspired and was with him and helped him in her little way to become? Are we willing to do that, or are we saying that this is my standard, therefore this is it?
Okay. I'm not sure that question should be directed to Ariam because she wasn't speaking on standards.
No,
she
no,
has
it's just-
consistently talked about Christian values. She has mentioned that she is not the sholobiting.
No, I know this was about the tomatoes.
Well, but I'm sure the tomato,
No, but with
the tomato
example,
analogy,
I'm
it was
saying
still-
that don't shrink yourself. Like, don't hold back just because you're a woman thinking that
I am
once
old.
I develop or once I get a certain standard, men will be scared to come my way. Because that's what people tell young ladies out there. I have a young lady who wanted to go and do her PhD. And the mother told her that, no, if you have a PhD, which man will come to you?
So you understand where she's coming from now.
I
That
always
Why would I want to
understood.
hold back
I
because...
always understood, though,
So-
but you see, there's that.
No, I think you guys are saying two opposite things, two different things. She is saying that if you have to keep going, keep going. And don't limit yourself.
But
because
also understand that. I think if you want to keep going is fine. Keep going. But understand that the reality of the world that we live in, you go on and you be gone.
Come in.
No, just a moment. Keep going. And don't hold yourself back because you feel like if I keep going, I won't find anybody. The issue about the standards, I can understand. But we also are saying, I mean, I think I side with what she's saying. So what? Until a man comes or until somebody comes my way, I can't keep developing myself?
You can, I think maybe I'm not saying what I want to say. You can keep developing yourself. The problem, I think, sometimes with women who have kept developing themselves, and I keep developing, it's not as if I don't, is that there's a certain arrogance that comes easily with women who have really, really, really developed themselves, which can be, it can make it a little bit more difficult in this, our African Ghanaian society. This is not a personal opinion.
I
this
get
is
what you're saying,
realistically.
but it is realistic. But what I have to say about this is that if that is your opinion as a woman, then you're probably not considering marriage. Be on your own. Because if you're developing yourself to become arrogant, for men not to be able to approach you, then obviously you are not looking
So
to
you
be
agree that no matter how up there you are, there's a certain persona that you have to adopt in a certain
You
way
don't have to adopt
be
it.
approachable.
You have to be it. Listen, I believe something. You can be whoever it is that you want to be. If you are not marriageable and being a wife,
I think that's the word I was looking for.
if you're not marriageable,
Yeah.
if you haven't made up your mind that you want to be a wife, then you can't be a wife. Because being a wife does not matter where you have gotten
That's
to
what I
in
meant.
life.
I think you've expressed
There are
it better.
things that you will have to do
And be.
or that are
Yeah.
expected of you as a wife. And if you're not willing to do them, then I am sorry. Anymore, there could be somebody who is, the lowest part of the ladder and the person hasn't developed themselves, but you're so arrogant that you won't find a man to marry. That one too is there.
Yeah.
So we are looking out for all of these things in the men, but if you want to be a wife, then you have a role to play on this journey.
So we're saying the same.
If you are not ready,
Yeah.
then yes, that's it. Now, make your point and then we'll take it.
My point is that what is the purpose of marriage to the woman? Why do you want to marry? What are you going to do in the marriage? You have to know who you are and why you want to undertake that venture. So in my opinion, if you ask me, a young lady, 23, you want to marry, or you feel like marrying, I would ask you, why do you want to marry? The Bible lets us know that we women are created as helpmates to a man. So even if you want to go and marry someone, what help are you going to offer?
What help are you coming to offer?
Right? So to me, I would say, okay, you should know yourself. So that, let's say you are a hammer. If a hammer goes into the hand of a poultry farmer, what help can the hammer give? But if that hammer goes
Build
into
chicken coops.
maybe he wouldn't even find use for it because all he knows is how to nurture the chicken. He doesn't build the coops. So you become a useless tool, right? But if you are a hammer and you end up in the hands of a carpenter, you will be very useful.
Yeah.
This is Home Affairs, and we're talking about what a woman would look out for if they have to choose a man. I am thinking that not too far from now, I should have another conversation. Affairs, and if you're just joining us, oh my God, you have missed a lot. But you can still catch up on the conversation at Joy 997 on Facebook, on YouTube, at Joy Prime Television. You can catch up on all these channels and listen to the conversation. We have talked about what women would be looking out for if they need to choose a man. We've looked at what women won't take, I want to find out from these ladies now. For instance, especially in the case of Enimoa and Na, and of course, Ariam too. At this age, I mean, yes, you're on your own. You're a big woman. Why would you even still, why do you need to marry? Why do you need a man in your life? And do we also know what it takes to keep a man as women? Because we are saying all the things we want from them, what we won't take and all that. But do we know and understand what it takes to keep a man? And what are we willing to do as women to keep our men, to keep our homes, and to keep our marriages? Ahead of that, the joy of every parent is to see their children cheerful and hearty. And to achieve this desire, every parent needs to ensure that their children are given nutritious foods that has the essential nutrients and multivitamins which can promote their welfare. One of such nutritious beverages is Vitamilk soy milk drink. Vitamilk soy milk is made from natural soybeans, which is a good source of plant protein. We're talking about vitamin B1 and B2. Vitamilk has no artificial coloring, no artificial flavorings, and no preservatives. And so we're urging you to choose the Vitamilk Champ for your children because it has plant proteins and it is nutritious, amazingly delicious, and satisfying. Vitamilk also comes in its regular soy milk drink. You can have it in the multi-cereal with no caffeine. You can have it in the choco, the banana, the strawberry. All these flavors are available for you. Vitamilk 250 ml and Vitamilk 1 liter Tetra Pak. You can buy them in those packs as well. Vitamilk is indeed a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. And Pentecost Hour, a religious broadcast program sponsored by the Church of Pentecost, comes your way with the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyameche. On Sundays, they're on Joy FM at 1:30 p.m. every Sunday, every Monday on Hits FM at 5:30 a.m., and every Saturday on Joy Prime Television at 7 a.m. So tune in every Sunday, Monday, and Saturday as Apostle Nyameche brings you life transforming truth that nourishes the soul, ignites passion, and restores the hope in the hope in the nations. The Church of Pentecost, where you're possessing the nations for the Lord. And go on and discover the rich, creamy taste of Dano milk that perfectly complements your breakfast to deliver that delightful flavor you've always craved. Dano milk is fortified with vitamin A and D, and it's also a source of protein, calcium, vitamin B2, B12, potassium, phosphorus, and all of these will keep you nourished every day. Get your quality Dano milk Cool Cow instant powdered milk for an unparalleled taste experience and for your nourishment. Dano milk, go for it. And remember, this advert is FDA approved. Now, back to the ladies, Enimwa, Ayram, and Na. Finding out, first of all, why do you people want to get married? Again, why would you not want to? Why would you?
To be somebody I can harass. I mean, not having somebody to harass is a very big problem. So there has to be somebody to harass. But I think more importantly, the Bible verse that says, how can one person keep warm? You know, that's one of my favorite verses, even though I can't remember exactly what it says. And then there's also another scripture that says that one will slay 1,000 and two will slay 10,000. So I fully appreciate the power of two. Having somebody who, you know, we have a vision, there's the like mind, we're working towards it. And that's, you see, the reason I like that scripture is that if you do the maths, if one slays 1,000, then two should be able to slay 2,000. But then it's actually 10,000. So it means that there's a certain exponential power of agreement and of oneness and in the covenant of marriage.
That's true.
So I mean, those are the reasons why, if I want to sound like a sensible person, I'll say those. But the truth is that I have to have somebody to harass. Because my life will be empty, you know, if I don't have
anybody to
harass.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, how about you?
Okay.
Why are you still married?
Why am I still married? Okay. I think I'm still married because I have found the purpose for which I married.
Okay.
And the purpose is beyond myself. Souls are involved. Other generations are involved. And if I am outside the marriage, I don't think that purpose that God has given me, I would be able to do it or give the best that they are supposed to get. And when I say souls, I'm not only talking about my children. I recently told my husband that the day I married you, I made a vow to myself because I knew where I was coming from. And with the marriage, I have come to the realization that this marriage has potential impacts on generations to come.
Yeah.
So I am willing to be the sacrificial lamb so that certain things from the past will not transcend into the future. So for me now, if I stay married, it is because I have found the purpose for which I married. And it is beyond only me. Other souls, generations are involved. Great. So for that reason, I am committed to work on myself. And God being so good, my husband who has finally seen the light, that we need to work together.
So you're working
I love
together.
that. Yeah.
Great. And Ayom, you're waiting on God for that right person.
I think the number one thing on my list would be for companionship. Yeah, because secondly, also
like
to have my own...
and that's a different word for the harassment.
Anyone wants someone she can harass.
Oh yes,
If she wants a companion.
yes. But, I mean,
What are you going to do with the companion?
I want someone who will pump